Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change.
Okay, great. I didn't think my camera was going to come up. If you're wondering why I'm a little bit late, you should have seen me scrambling because my camera wouldn't work, my computer wouldn't work. I didn't get anything set up that I want. I was going to have a professional setup. I was going to have everything ready ahead of time, and my computer said, ha, ha, ha. That's what you think. Anyway, and just because I know a lot of people are always curious. This is one of my favorite shirts. It's like a Batwing shirt, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, hello everyone, and thank you for being on Twitch. Thank you so much. And yes, a question was asked. Knickers are twisted. Yes, knickers are definitely twisted. Why are none of my... It looks like I lost, like, hold on. Yes, I need my shameless grifting along the bottom here. Let's do some and it looks like my green screen is still turned on. My God, am I not organized today. But really, my computer just took a complete crap before this started. But let's do the grifting. I'm desperately in need of patrons, so patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. And I haven't done this sponsor for a while. And there we go. You can see it nice and clear. It's Asteros.com. Asteros is a friend of mine. Well, the company literally itself obviously is not a friend of mine, but the owner of the company is a friend of mine, and he offers cybersecurity services. So if you have an online organization or business, and I'm probably talking to about 80% of you, I was going to say 80 of you, 80% of you, it's not secure. It isn't. You think it is, but it isn't. You want to find out for sure? Go to asteros.com/free, get his free surface penetration audit, and he'll tell you where the bad guys can come along and, you know, do you ugly. Plus, he's a good friend of mine and a sponsor in a very niche category. So again, asteros.com, asteros.com/free. I'm glad I remembered to do my sponsorship today. And thank you so much, Zach. I do appreciate your support, as I appreciate the support of all of you. As usual, all super chats matter. I know I've asked most of you to go on Twitch, so I can't bug you for bits because I'm not yet an affiliate. And that's why I want you on Twitch right now, because that's my last milestone. Excuse me. You know what happens, you know, when you got to have some beer. That's what we got to do. I wasn't going to make this stream, believe it or not. I know you guys think I love controversy, but I really don't. And I've got other things to do, like minutes. Yay, like a lot of minutes. But this kind of stuff just drives me crazy. All right? Yes, Knickers are on a twist. They're in a twist. I just like that expression a whole lot. But tonight, yeah, somebody did ask JJ. Well, JJ asked. Somebody didn't ask JJ. Before we start talking about the twisted Knickers and trying to untwist them, I was at new candidate orientation tonight. So I got my council candidate manual, and the incumbent was sitting right next to me. When she saw me walk in the room, it was kind of like, yep, she's serious. She's here. I thought she was just messing with me. So, yeah, I've got my little manual here. And we do have minor petitioning. And yes, the hello in the chats helps my Twitch metrics. We have to just get 25 signatures, so I don't even count it. It's just to make sure that you're not just putting your name on the ballot as a lark. So I've got my first ever petitioning packet here for the town of Castle Rock. So yeah, been flipping through it. Got to get my names. This is a very familiar thing to some of you. And you're going 25? 25. That's okay. Yep, that's all I got to get is 25 in my district. People have asked me how big is Castle Rock. Castle Rock's about 70,000 people, but it's not at-large town council. It's by district, and 6 districts, or is it 7? It's 7 districts, I think. I'm in 5. That's really all I care about, and I'm tired. 6 or 7 districts. Why am I thinking it's 7? About equally divided. So it's definitely doable. It is definitely doable. So if you thought that my grifting for campaign funds was over with me getting reelected as secretary, think again, because I will be bugging you for my town council race, but I can't do that until I go get a bank account set up. You know, all the laws, you know, all the things the state has to makes me do. I'm not allowed to collect money yet, basically. Yeah, the borders of Castle Rock are bizarre, and it's giant. It is giant geographically, not necessarily population-wise, but geographically. It's like where I came from. You want to see like another giant town? I came from Boynton Beach, Florida. It's another giant. But on Castle Rock, Colorado, it's literally, most of you have a big interstate going through unless you're like out in the sticks. So like in Florida, it was I-95. And Boynton Beach was literally 3 I-95 exits. That's a lot. Castle Rock, one direction is 4. Is 4 of them. Thank you, Julian, for the super chat. And in the other direction, it's 3. It's big geographically. But my section, it's definitely doable. I can knock the doors. I've got a strategy. I've got a message. I'm in it to win it. It's my first race. Whether, you know, how I do, it doesn't matter. I'll be happy. I need a drink. I'll be happy no matter how I do. If I win, I'd be thrilled. But no matter what, it's a win-win to me. But let's get on to what the problem is. Okay, those of you who are on Twitter will probably already know what I'm about to talk about. Believe it or not, I don't normally, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. I don't try to make it my practice to purposely start crap with other libertarians on Twitter. I just say what I want to say. Some libertarians see it, they get upset, but that's not usually my goal. I like starting crap with status, though. Twitter is for shit posting, to start crap with status. There's no doubt about that. But I don't normally go looking for trouble with libertarians. Believe it or not, same thing on Facebook. Something you guys will notice about me, I very rarely stray outside my own page. I post on my own page, and I'll interact with people there. And there's people I disagree with that are friends of mine. I don't go to their pages and start crap. Even if I see one of their posts that's like, they say something I disagree with, I'm like, cool. I scroll on by. Like, there's enough battles out there to start than to start crap with other libertarians. And if it's someone that's just so bad that I can't take it, I block them. That's just the way it is. We don't need this. But anyway, Reason magazine. I know when I say that, people have all kinds of feels. Let me just tell you my general feels. I like Reason. Brian Dougherty's a friend of mine. When he needs LP, info, there's something he can't understand that's going on in the LNC list, he calls me. Like, we've got a great relationship. One of the first, ever, media coverage I ever got was a picture taken by Brian Dougherty at the 2016 convention. I've got, lots of warm, fuzzy feels for Reason. Okay? I like Matt Walsh. Is it Matt Walsh? I keep getting the names mixed up. Matt Welch? I'm bad with names. You guys know it. You guys know I'm bad with names, so forgive me that. You know who I'm talking about. I don't really know Nick, okay? And I don't really know the writer that I'm about to bring up now. I read some of her articles. I know she's been around Reason for a really long time, and that's Elizabeth Nolan Brown. So I have nothing personal, okay? I have no beef with her, in general. But today, she decided to just, go in the middle of libertarian Twitter and lay a big crap. So, I was kind of like, this is our mutual living room. I would prefer that you don't go in the middle of it and lay a big crap. Maybe you can shovel that crap out. But instead of shoveling that crap out, she decided to argue that it smelled really sweet and we should all eat it. So I decided I didn't think it smells sweet and I don't want to eat it. So what are we talking about now? I'm going to pull up the tweet that started it all. And I am going to, despite what some people say about me, and anyone who watches me knows it's not true, I am going to try to be fair here. I do think she's ultimately wrong, but I am going to grant some points here to her. But she's still wrong, okay? But not as outrageously wrong as what some people think, okay? So but first, I want to pull up some words of wisdom. First, you guys, and there's a reason why I don't have the chat up on the screen, because we're going to need it for screenshots. It's one of those types of shows. Oh, come on now. Tell me, if you did not download, I'm going to be very, very upset with you. I downloaded this crap. That's there. Why okay. We are going to the Google for a minute here because I downloaded something that you guys have to see, and I'm just not going to I'm not going to put up with you guys not seeing this. Okay, now it's on my desktop. It better be there because you guys we cannot start the show without these words of wisdom. Oh, this is weird. It doesn't recognize it as an image. Now that is bizarre. So you want to know what? I'm just going to share my screen. There you can see it now. From the great Michael Malice. Anything preceding but in a political context claim or a political claim can be ignored. Think you all know what I mean there? When someone goes blah, 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 blah. Karen Ann waiting for the computer to Are you guys not seeing me? Am I doing something really dumb here? Let me know. Okay, I'm back. So, Michael Malice is correct that anything preceding the word but in a political claim can be absolutely disregarded. So you get, I really like so-and-so, but no, you really don't like so-and-so, because everything before the word but can be disregarded. But actually, I prefer to quote other people, such as the great Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. So this is what we have to learn, this lesson before we get to her tweet.
Oh, my brother once told me that nothing someone says before the word but really counts.
What did Father used to say? Everything before the word but is horse.
Or the word but is horse shit. Oh, the computer disagrees that I downloaded it. Okay. So, now, with that in mind, let's take a look at a political claim that contains the word but. Here we go. And this is Elizabeth Nolan Brown. So, she says, I tried to keep an open mind about the LP under new leadership, but what did we learn about but, class? We learned that anything preceding the word but in a political context can be ignored. Let's not forget that, okay? I tried to keep an open mind under the new LP, under new leadership, but I think endorsing McCarthyism is officially where I sign off. Well, you want to know what? I think I would sign off too if the LP was actually endorsing McCarthyism. But does that mean I wouldn't? No, definitely. If the LP was actually endorsing McCarthyism, I'd sign off as well. Were they though? Were they though, Elizabeth? Were they? I mean, you were trying to keep an open mind. So we have to presume that if you're making the very bold claim that the Libertarian Party, which pretty much hates the state, is now endorsing that the state take like direct action, like persecution, that the state should actively persecute people for their point of view. I mean, because you are a person with an open mind. You were sure to tell us that. So I am sure if you're making this very bold claim, you've got to have some irrefutable proof. I mean, there cannot be any other way to interpret this. That has to be the most fair interpretation. And considering I'm part of the new LP leadership, you can't possibly be lying about me, can you, dear? Now, I don't normally call other women dear because I find that kind of demeaning. But you want to know what I find more demeaning? Getting called a McCarthyist. Oh, I should go get all my commie gear. That would be kind of funny. That'd be kind of funny for this. Hold on, I do have the glasses. I'm not going to... Yes, I am going to do my terrible Russian accent. So, Elizabeth, I'm a McCarthyist, am I now? Because a person with an open mind, as you were sure to tell us, has come to this conclusion. So let's look at this tweet that is this irrefutable proof that even, this person with an open mind, they've got to get off this train because, woof, that new LP leadership, they're endorsing McCarthyism. There's no doubt about it. Because I'm channeling my inner Elizabeth Nolan Brown. Because I'm a journalist. I wouldn't recklessly defame a bunch of people, would I? I mean, that's just not something I would do. Because I try to be responsible. Because I'm a journalist. Oh, yeah, but Reason Magazine did put out an article who goes, what did they say about the Mises Caucus? The Mises Caucus had this victory, but some say they're racist. Like, where's your proof for that? Where is your proof for that? You know, can you just, like Dave Smith said, suppose I were to say about Elizabeth Nolan Brown, because she put out an article, and we're going to look at this article, since we're all open-minded today, we're going to look at the article where she defends, actually, I'm going to be a bit unfair, because she isn't really defending kid drag shows, but that's how some people interpreted it. But I'm using her standard for an open mind. So how would she feel, you know, if I put out an article and said, Elizabeth Nolan Brown, some people say she's a great writer for reason, while others say she defends child groomers. I mean, that would be very open-minded of me, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't. It would be a load of crap. It'd be a load of crap, because even though I disagree with her article about drag shows for kids, I read it and try to get where she's coming from and not presume the worst and say something like, you know, I tried to have an open mind about these reason writers, but when they're, you know, promoting grooming, that's where I get off the train. No, that would be unreasonable. Like what she's doing is unreasonable. And if you're watching this, Miss Brown, I don't know you. You're probably super cool. You probably don't like me saying your name in the same sentence with groomer. I wouldn't like it either. I don't like you implying that I'm a McCarthyist. So maybe we could call it even and stop defaming people now? Would that be nice? Or is this the definition of an open mind now? So let's look what got your pretty little knickers all in a twist. Okay, and that's not an insult, because I think cute underwear is cute. And I'm just assuming all women have cute underwear, because I like cute underwear. So if I got my knickers in a twist, it'd be my cute little knickers in a twist. All right. Now, here's where I'm going to start to be a little fair. I was fair. I think I've been already fair, but I'm going to be fair to now I'm going to try to put myself in her knickers. Wait, that did not come out right. In her shoes. I'm happily married. I'm not trying to get in anyone's knickers. This is not LP National's best tweet. But you want to know something about Twitter? Twitter's fast paced. You got to come out with material like this. Not everything is a polished Pulitzer Prize winning piece of, you know, writing. Am I crazy about this tweet? Do I think it's a little unclear? I don't think it's so unclear that you could go ahead and say that we're endorsing McCarthyism, but do I think it could have been worded better? Absolutely. But that's what I tend to do when I see a tweet that makes me go a little Forrest Whitaker eye. I go, wait, particularly if I know the group. If we're talking about the Libertarian Party, we're not really well known for being McCarthyists. You know, that's not really kind of what we're known for unless you're a blithering idiot. So if I read a tweet from National and my first thought was, oh, they're endorsing McCarthyism, my second thought would be, I must be misunderstanding something. Particularly if I'm bragging about my open mind. Let's look at the tweet. Now, remember, tweets are weird. Twitter is weird. A lot of times, blue check mark accounts like ours will have a theme for the day. And you'll notice over the past couple of days, and thank you guys for keeping commenting. Keep spamming my Twitch comments. It's really helping me. Like, I mean that literally. It's really, really helping me. There's been a theme over the past couple days with the National Twitter account in which they've been posting memes of people that are quote unquote problematic in some way and highlighting something that this person said that they agree with. And the way I've taken this series of tweets is, even people you may not like, they probably said something you agree with. Very few people in the world are absolutely wrong about everything. It's trying to say there are no angels or demons. They did a tweet with a meme from Hans Hermann Hoppe the other day. I'm not an HHH fan. I'm not. But I liked the quote. The quote was a good quote, even though I'm not a fan of the guy. They posted a Noam Chomsky quote earlier today. Why isn't Miss Open-Minded here going, oh, are they because now they've turned into a bunch of leftists? It's because Noam Chomsky said some things that were right. And the national Twitter does not like, and I don't like, the fact that people are being unpersoned on Twitter. And Lindsay has been banned from Twitter. Am I a fan of James Lindsay? No. I don't know very much about him, so maybe I need to be a little bit more open-minded. But from the little bit I know, I'm not a big fan. It seems like he's on the Christian nationalist side, and I'm not into that. However, if he said that McCarthy underestimated the communist threat in America, he was right. He was right. That is what this series of tweets is about. That even people we may not agree with have said things that are right. And when you don't unperson all ideas because you don't like one thing they said. The problematic part of this tweet is in the text above it, and we're going to get to it. But the meme itself, there ain't a damn thing wrong with it. McCarthy did underestimate the communist threat in America. Dave Benner, and if we have time, Dave Benner is one of the LNC members. He detailed out today, because this had caused this whole hoopla, he detailed out today in some areas exactly where McCarthy was wrong about the communist threat. So there's nothing in that meme that says anything about what do you do about it. Okay, McCarthy was wrong. Does that mean that we're now all of a sudden saying he should have went after those commies in the method he went after them 10 times as hard? No, we're not saying that. There's nothing in that meme that says a thing about what to do about it. It states a fact of something that exists and says nothing about what to do about it. You know, I'm going to do another show that's called Godwin's Law is Stupid, because it is. It's stupid. I have a whole other rant about that. But the reason I'm saying that is because I'm about to say Hitler. That's going to get me demonetized from YouTube. When someone says Hitler made the trains run on time, do you think that person is then saying we need to impose fascism in America so these damn trains will run on time? No, they're just saying that even Hitler did something good. The trains ran on time. And we're not talking about the type of trains that took people to their death, okay? That probably was even a terrible example. Now I'm probably a Nazi because people with open minds, like Elizabeth Nolan, are going to take the worst possible interpretation. All I'm saying is take Twitter. Twitter's both high context and low context. It's low context in when you're reading a meme, just take it for what it says. Don't go reaching for all kinds of weird implications, because Twitter is sound bites. It's sound bites. It's also high context in that if you're following a brand account, look to see if they're doing a theme, like the National Party obviously was doing with these quotes of people that a lot of people consider are problematic. Okay? Now let's look at the part that I'm not crazy about. I have zero problem with the meme. I have zero problem with the meme. I'm sure some people go, oh, but you're supposed to unperson James Lindsay. I don't unperson anybody. No problem with the meme. I do have a little bit of a problem with the text. However, I know how Twitter is. And you know what? I don't ride the ass of volunteers who are just trying to get messaging out there and start a conversation. Because that's the other thing about Twitter. You try to say just enough to get engagement. You know, and you kind of count on other libertarians to actually have an open mind. Not, I tried to have an open mind, but... Oh, okay, it was Mussolini that made the trains run on time. I can't even get my fascists right. How can I be a McCarthyist if I can't even... Well, I know those were communism. Whatever. I'm sure I'm a piece of crap in some way because I confused Mussolini and Hitler. Whatever. Okay, so now let's go to this part here. And the Twitter says, look at Herbert, forget me pronouncing last names, on the K-12 education system. Time to deal with the American communists for real. Now, in context, with both sentences, there really isn't a problem with that text. Miss Open Mind is just looking for an issue. But I'm going to give the but now, because I'm going to try to be fair to her. The sentence, time to deal with the American communists for real, by itself, I can understand where you go, ugh, what does that mean? Did McCarthy not go far enough in how... Okay, I get that that last sentence could have been worded better. But in the context of the whole thing, and knowing the source, unless Miss Open Mind was already very predisposed to be thinking we're awful, evil people, thank you for lying about me, Elizabeth Nolan Brown, there's no way you get that we've all of a suddenly become McCarthyists. Do you think that it's some new revelation that the Libertarian Party thinks that the United States has taken a major shift to communism? Is that news to you? It shouldn't be. We've been going through LP history, we've been reading LP news, and we've been ranting and raving about the commies for a long time, and have never endorsed having, hearings, to declare them, enemies of the country, and the Council on Un-American Activities, or the Committee on Un-American Activities, whatever the hell it was. No. You can think there's a problem with commies and agree with that statement and not think that we need to be doing that kind of status crap or throwing people out of helicopters if Pinochet is more your thing. But no, she took this and has decided that I'm a McCarthyist. I'm not going to say what I want to say to that because I'm trying to be a better girl. But Ms. Nolan, really, after you got corrected on this, maybe you had a morning where you didn't have enough caffeine, because that's me every morning. Maybe you overreacted. But when you got the pushback, instead of doubling down and just jamming your knickers even further up your ass crack, you should have said, oops, you know what? That tweet wasn't worded so great, but maybe I shouldn't be accusing people I don't know that are other fellow human beings of being McCarthyists, that are on my side, that are actually other libertarians. Maybe I shouldn't do that because, I have an open mind. That's what you need to do tomorrow, Elizabeth. You need to apologize for this accusation. And it doesn't have to be falling on your sword. It should have been just, oopsie, I kind of jumped the gun on that one. Because you want to know what? We all do that on Twitter. We all jump the gun and say stupid crap on Twitter. We do. You just did. But you defamed people in doing it. And as a journalist, you should be avoiding that. I'm not a McCarthyist. And you just called me one. It's easy to talk about people you don't have to say it to their face, isn't it? Come call me that to my face. And that's not a like, ooh, because I'm a pacifist. I mean, come call it to me to my face so we can have a human-to-human conversation and not just be these digital things. Because that's just a shitty thing to say, Elizabeth. Why would you do that? Now let's pull up I want to show you some of the doubling down. Because this by itself, you might be going, come on, Pinky, you're getting your knickers in a twist now. Did she just tweet this and go on with her day? And you're like, all lathered up? No. She doubled down. When it was pointed out that this is a hot take, Elizabeth, she doubled down. So let's look at some of that doubling down, shall we? Okay, I got to put my glasses on because I'm old. And I can't see where I can turn off this image. Okay, let's pull up another one. Let's pull up image number 2. And here she goes. And I've seen the lol. Why do so many people read this as an endorsement of McCarthy's tactics tweets? Yeah, no, I'm not playing that game. Oh, so you're not believing people. So I know you have an open mind. We've established that, right? You're trying to have an open mind. So, Ms. Open Mind, you are now saying you know better what we think and what we meant than we do. That's very open-minded of you. Lol. You're not playing that game. Oh, we're playing a game now. So now you're doubling down and really calling us liars. So not only did you just call me a McCarthyist, because I'm one of the people who said exactly the game she says she's not playing, because I did interact on her thing. Oh, you're not playing that game. Oh, so you're calling me a liar now too. Great. You're really doing good now. That's some good journalism. Okay, let's look at what somebody said to her. I love this response. Yeah, yet you're still playing a game. It's called pretend. Yeah, Mr. Scott. Let's do the Hunger Games salute to you. Yes, she is playing a game. It is called pretend. But here's where the worst doubling down is. This is what made me decide I wanted to do this show. Because this is, she should have just stopped. If she didn't want to walk it back, if she didn't want to admit she screwed up, just move on. Don't double down. But here's where she goes. It's all just a big dog whistle. How come, when everything's a dog whistle, nothing's a dog whistle. The word dog whistle has become a dog whistle. The word dog whistle, I know she didn't use it. She's using the concept. So let's go. The concept of dog whistle has become a dog whistle for people to call other people names when they don't have proof. You go, yeah, but that's kind of what it means. So let's read the rest here. She says, trying to appeal to authoritarians. Is that what we're trying to do? So being anti-communist is now trying to appeal to authoritarians. Is it now? Is it now? Because commies are just known for being great freedom fighters. Okay. Whose brains have been melted by effective... Elizabeth. Okay, I'm not going to play the spell check your post thing because I am the worst speller in the world when it comes to Twitter, but I'm also not a writer for Reason Magazine. Okay, we're just going to ignore the way she spelled effective. Kofefi, whose brains have been melted by effective polarization, but with plausible deniability. So I'm lying, but I'm lying with plausible deniability. Is still trying to appeal to authoritarians whose brains have been melted by effective polarization. Is it? She did effective that way twice. Is it me? Am I the dumbass? Is that the right? Did she use effective right there? Shouldn't it have been with an E? Is she just? Maybe it's me that's just being... Let me look this up, because if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. I didn't even think... She's got to be right and not me, because I'm not a freaking journalist, and there's no way a journalist messed up a word twice. Showing results for Effective. Relating to moods, feelings. So maybe she is right. Okay. I learned something there. You see? Look, I actually am open-minded. I'm going to do a but. I think you were right there. I think both words. That's actually very clever because I didn't even know it's effective with an A. A-F-F-E-C-T-I-V-E. And I thought she meant E-F-F. I think both of them would have been correct. But I like the word she used better. And here I was kind of being a little bitchy and saying she misspelled something when she didn't. Here, I'm going to show you how it's done, Elizabeth. Even though I didn't do something nearly as bad as calling you a lying McCarthyist, I apologize. I was wrong. You spelled it right. I got a little catty, kind of putting down, the fact that you're a writer and I'm not, and you screwed up a word when it's in fact me that screwed it up, not you. I'm sorry. See how that's done? Because we all say stupid crap. We all say stupid crap. Now maybe you can apologize. I'll pull it up again, Tyler, for calling me a lying McCarthyist, but with plausible deniability. So she's doubled down. She now even is admitting, it doesn't actually say that. Maybe they could plausibly deny it, but I know what they're trying to do. We know what they're trying to do. They're trying to appeal to authoritarians. Oh boy, I guess, if that's called having an open mind, I don't think that's something I want. That was a bad take, Elizabeth. And, hey, Jesse, and you ought to apologize. You really ought to. We're not the very fact that we're every single day saying we need to get rid of the military industrial complex, we need to stop militarizing our police, we need to end the drug war. I mean, we're constantly going after all of the programs, because the implication here is, I obviously don't think that you think communists are the bastion of freedom. What you're trying to say, though, is that we're trying to appeal to the far-right authoritarians. Meanwhile, every single day we are going after the sacred cows of the right. Yet, this one tweet, this is our, all that stuff about we don't really want a big military, and we're not into tariffs, and, the militarization of cops, and, all that stuff that authoritarians love. That one tweet, we're going, we didn't really mean it, we're just being plausibly deniable, because that's what people with open minds say. Come on. I expect this from people who aren't libertarians. The reason I'm upset about it is because I like reason. Do better. And we'll do better too. That tweet was not worded in the best possible way. I am not going to claim it was, but it didn't say that we support frickin' McCarthyism, for God's sakes. Now let me pull this back up again. Tyler wants to see the tweet again. Right here. I think she used effective right. You guys tell me your opinion. I originally thought that she just inadvertently misspelled it, but then she did it twice. So that's when I looked up the word, and I think she used it right. I actually think she used it cleverly. Let me know when I can pull it down again, Tyler, because I want to go on to her article on drag kids. Because I'm going to criticize something, but I am going to demonstrate that I actually do have an open mind. And I'm not going to go, I'm trying to have an open mind about this whole, Reason Magazine thing, but this seems to be endorsing grooming. Yeah, Reason is a libertarian outlet. That's why I'm so upset. Okay. So you're finding that interesting too, Tyler. I think she used it right. I think she actually used it in a cool way that I'm going to try to use it. All right, now let's pull up the drag shows for kids. Now, this isn't a topic that I normally get involved in. Let me tell you why. Because it generates more heat than light. I don't have children, and it's not really something I'm terribly all that lathered up about. Oh, okay. Well, I don't have a way to go into chat, but I'm going to pull it on the screen and you should be able to see the address. I'll tell you how to find it. Let's do it that way. So Nolan drag queen, maybe we'll pull it up. Okay. The name of the article, Jesse, so if you look for Reason Magazine, and the name of the article is Drag Shows for Children Under Fire in Texas. Okay, and I am going to pull this on the screen. Yeah, Datmo, I've come to agree with you. I actually think she used it very cleverly now. And now I'm the dumbass for thinking she didn't. But I can admit when I'm wrong and apologize. Okay, here's the article. So you could see up in the title there, I know that's tiny, Jesse, but if you just search for Reason Magazine Drag Shows for Children Under Fire in Texas, you'll see the article I'm criticizing. And I'm only bringing this up again. This isn't a topic that's my topic. I think this is the first time I've ever talked about this. But if I were treating her the way she was treating the National Libertarian Party, I could be like, I have an open mind, but where you're wanting to groom children, that's where I have to get off this bus. No, she's not trying to groom. I don't agree with her, but I could read this article fairly, and I'm going to try to criticize it fairly, and there's some things I agree with and some things I don't. Now, just like I did with the national tweet, there's a context here. The larger context is the Drag Queen Story Hour. Drag Queen Story Hour is generally in publicly funded events, or at least in public buildings. I don't think there should be public buildings to begin with. And I'm an anarchist. As I said on Twitter, screw the state. However, there is a minarchist argument to be made that it's not appropriate to be using public funding and public buildings for having sexualized entertainers entertain children, even if it's just through reading a book. I would say the same if it was a cam girl. I would say the same if it was a burlesque dancer. Somehow, reading a story and a pole dancer, those two I don't think they go together. It's kind of like those things I posted on Facebook where it was, you bite into a strawberry and somebody hit a piece of a hot dog inside of it, and you're like, okay, everyone in the room is going to die for this now, okay? Because those two things don't mix. You don't do that. So that's kind of the backdrop here. Though, this article is not about Drag Queen Story Hour, but that's kind of what's brought this whole thing to the fore. So apparently, because it's Texas and they like creating laws in Texas, and I agree with her, they don't need a specific law to say you can't have drag shows for children. But I also would file this under the category, we also don't need a law that says you can't drive drunk. You want to know why? Because we already have a law against reckless driving. You don't need specific laws for every category of reckless driving. If you can prove that somebody was endangering the lives of other people, we have a law for that already. So this isn't really about a law or it shouldn't be, about drag shows for children. The question is this abusing children? If it's abusing children, we already have a law for that. You don't need to be making a specific law targeting drag queens, because it does look like you have something against drag queens, when it should be, is this child abuse or not? If it's child abuse, then it's child abuse. It doesn't matter if it's drag queens. It doesn't matter what it is. And Tyler says, I think gay people are being damaged by this obvious attack on children by trans propaganda. Tyler, drag queens generally are not trans. Drag queens generally are cisgendered men. Sometimes it's gay men. But I've known some drag queens, and I enjoy a good drag show. Drag queens generally are not trans people. They're not. I don't think this has anything to do. Now, I think to some, and I'm not claiming you're a Republican, Tyler. I'm thinking to some Republicans in Texas, they do think this is about trans people. This has absolutely nothing to do with trans people. But anyway, so let's go to the article. All right. She goes, I regret to inform you that Texas is at it again. It being absurd and melodramatic cultural warmongering, of course. In this latest round, Texas State Rep Brian Slayton is trying to ban minors from seeing drag queens in response to a Dallas bar's Drag the Kids to Pride event, which it billed as a family-friendly drag show. Okay. Here's my take on it. Let me give you a personal example here. It has nothing to do with drag. My mom, when I was growing up, used to take me to the most violent, horrifyingly scary horror movies that existed. She was a fan of the genre, and I remember being 5, 6 years old, being taken to things that probably 5 or 6 year olds shouldn't go to see. And I remember her, Wayne just got home if you hear the dogs running, I remember her arguing with the theater manager, because I think it was Day of the Dead at the time, wasn't rated. And when a movie's unrated, you can't, even if you're a parent, take your kid into it. They treat it like it's X-rated, even though that generally should have just been R-rated. A parent can take, and at least back then, a child into an R-rated movie. She was my mom. I wasn't having nightmares. I loved horror movies. Though in general, it's probably not a good idea to take your 6-year-old to see The Fog, to see Phantasm, to see all. I've seen everything that was hip at that time. I'm really giving you my vintage at this point. I loved it. Some kids, that would probably mess them up. Maybe it did mess me up and I just don't realize it. But you want to know what? That was my mom's decision, and I think that's where it should have stayed, as my mom's decision. Same thing with these things here. If a parent wants to take their kid to a drag show, I might not agree with it, but I think that's the parent's decision, and I think the legislature should find something else to do, like dismantle itself. Okay? So, yeah, I do think the law is ridiculous. So here I am agreeing with her. And this isn't something that's a huge problem. It was Pride Month, and one bar that wanted to spread the word, make some money, do something to set itself out, had something that it billed as a family-friendly drag show. I didn't see the drag show. I find it a bit difficult to believe that you can have a family-friendly drag show, just like I find it difficult to believe that you can have an R-rated gore film that probably, that doesn't have a real good chance of giving your 6-year-old nightmares, but hey. Okay. They tried this thing. No, I do think that it's stupid that the Texas legislature, for this probably one-off thing, are freaking the hell out and want to ban it. Okay. I also don't believe you could have a true drag show that's family friendly. Kind of the whole point of drag shows is that they're hilariously hypersexualized. And then if we look at this picture, okay, you've got that big neon sign behind the drag queen saying it's not gonna lick itself. I don't know, but something, I mean, call me crazy because maybe I don't have the same open mind that Elizabeth has. Neon sign that says it's not gonna lick itself and family friendly. Those two just don't seem to go together to me. Call me crazy. Maybe they should have turned that sign off. You know, if you're trying to be family friendly. And here's where the guy tweeted, drag shows are no place for a child. I would never take my children to a drag show. Okay, then don't. Stop trying to tell other parents, though, what to do. That's my take on it. Let parents raise their own kids. I will be filing legislation to address this issue. My God, are you that bored? Okay. And I'm not going to read the whole thing. Because the events of that past weekend were horrifying and show a disturbing trend in which perverted adults are obsessed with sexualizing young children. There's no proof here that there were perverted adults obsessed with sexualizing young children. Could it have been? Yes. Do I think that's what was going on? No. So, what's unclear is the horrifying events. I agree. What is the horrifying events? Let's see here. It says the performers were clothed and engaged in non-sexual dancing. I didn't see it, but generally drag is sexual dancing, but if it was non-sexual dancing, great. Some kids in attendance tipped the drag performers with dollar bills. Now here's where things get a bit dicey, and here's where I'm going to criticize her. Which, despite its association with strip clubs, is not in itself a sexual thing. Elizabeth, come on. Yes, it is. When you're in a nightclub and you have someone dancing in front of you in an art form that is generally considered sexual, and you're giving them dollar bills, come on, lady. Yeah, I think that goes over the line. Do I think it needs to be outlawed by some super nosy, Puritan Texas legislature? No, but come on. And she goes on to say, we hand dollars to street performers too, don't we? I don't think we're shoving it in their underwear. The next time you see a street performer, playing a guitar or doing a mime act or whatever, go up to them and stick it in their underwear and see if that's appropriate. I mean, we also hand dollars to your waitress too. Are you going to be comparing that to the same type of shoving dollar bills and G-strings that goes on at strip clubs? Come on, Elizabeth. Says the most risque thing about the event was a neon sign on the bar's wall which says it's not going to lick itself. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And you should have just said, you want to know what? Just like I said, do I think that national tweet was worded the best way? No, it would have killed you to say, maybe they should have turned that sign off. I don't know. They put it into their G-strings. I think there's a picture of it coming up. Jesse. And then says, a message that most certainly went over small children's heads. It probably did. That doesn't make it appropriate. If you can't bring yourself to say that, that's kind of effed up that there was a giant neon sign at a children's event that said it's not going to lick itself. Would it have killed you to say that? Now, if I had the same kind of open mind that you showed to the National Party, I could take this reluctance of yourself to condemn that, to say that you're in favor of that kind of messaging to children. I don't think you are. I just think you didn't give a good opinion here, and that's about it. Another outrage this weekend concerned an image shared by the Babylon Bee's Seth Dillon, who described it as a small child, perhaps 5 or 6, stuffs money into the underwear of a nearly naked drag queen as parents look on. It turns out it wasn't a drag queen. I have the same problem. See, to me, this isn't about drag queens. It's about people that are performing in a strip club kind of atmosphere. I don't care if it's a man. I don't care if it's a woman. This was a woman performing at a burlesque bunch. I have a huge problem with a child stuffing dollar bills into the G-string or underwear of a drag queen, of a burlesque dancer, of a cam girl, of a pole dancer. I don't think children should be putting dollar bills in anyone's underwear. Call me crazy. Again, some parents may still find this inappropriate, but has nothing to do with drag queens. Yeah, it does in a way. It's, I know Babylon Bee is a satire site, but this was a Babylon Bee reporter reporting on something outside of the Babylon Bee. It wasn't a satire thing. Oh, he has it right here. Here's a picture. Okay, but this isn't a drag queen. This is a woman. But you can see the dollar bills are in the underwear. And a child is putting a dollar bill in the underwear of an adult. Again, I don't care whether this person is a drag queen, is a, a burlesque dancer. I don't care. This is inappropriate. This is inappropriate. But it's up to the parents to deal with. I don't want the Texas legislature involved. But if I were going to be unkind to Elizabeth Nolan, I could make a big deal out of this and say that she's about grooming children. Now, I don't believe that because that would be a bullshit take. Just like it's a bullshit take to take that national tweet to say that we are all of a sudden turned into a bunch of McCarthyists. Okay, so she goes on and says, social conservatives may object to their children being exposed to cross-dressing in general. True, they may. But that doesn't make drag inherently sexual. Drag is inherently sexual if it's drag. It is. If it's just cross-dressing, it's not inherently sexual. Drag is inherently sexual. That's what makes it fun. It's campy. As I said, I like drag shows. But she kind of conflates cross-dressing with drag here. Does a little bit of a bait and switch. Cross-dressing is not inherently sexual. I'm sorry, drag is. Parents are perfectly free not to take their children with drag performers, but parents should also be free to do so. I agree with her. I absolutely agree with her. This is a parent's decision, just like it was my mom's decision to take me to some of the most, even to adults, disturbing R-rated gore films when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. It was her choice. And I'm sure most parents would have thought that was terrible. But I wouldn't have wanted a Texas legislature making a law against that. So, let me go back here. Okay. The whole point of that exercise was I agreed with her mostly in the article, but there were some things in there that I thought were a little questionable. And if I demonstrated the same open mind she did, allegedly, I could have smeared her really badly rather than just saying, I don't think that was such a good take. Perhaps you didn't word that so well, which is how I'm taking it, because I generally agree with her. To say that the communist influence in this country was underestimated does not remotely at all suggest that you agree with the tactics of McCarthy, Pinochet, or any of that. It is not having an open mind to say, well, that just made the LP national leadership McCarthyist, because that's an utter lie. It's an utter lie. Do I think it was a good tweet? You weren't at the beginning of the show, Justin? Nah. But I don't think it justified what her doubling down and smearing other libertarians. So, now that we've all got our knickers untwisted, hopefully, I hope it's clear that at least this LP National person is not a McCarthyist. And yes, I do think the communist influence in this country excuse me, I lost my train of thought. We can look at Dave Benner's tweet. I don't agree with your interpretation of his 14. It wasn't 14. It was 12 or 14. I thought it was 12. Whatever. His long thread defending the tweet. You said where he dives into McCarthy's actual tactics, saying they didn't go far enough, affirming that was the intent. I didn't get that from Dave Benner's. I didn't get that from Dave Benner's thing. Since Dave is someone who's a friend of mine who could easily come on the show or go on your show and defend his own thing, I'm not really going to get into that because I didn't interpret it. I didn't interpret it that way whatsoever. Now, Elizabeth Nolan is someone I'm not personal friends with. She's more of a public figure. That's why I went into that here. But I would invite you, Justin, to get Dave Benner on your show. It'd be an interesting conversation. Knowing the guy and having our own internal discussions about this tweet, I think you're misinterpreting him. To think that in any shape or form an anarchist is advocating state action, which is what McCarthy was all about, is just not a reasonable interpretation. And Dave Benner is an anarchist. So, maybe we could ask people exactly what they mean when things... I tend to, if I see something that I'm like, like for instance, let's say I saw a tweet from Justin, I'm picking on Justin O'Donnell, that seemed to say that Nickelback was the greatest band in the entire world. I could go, wow, that dude has shit taste in music. Or I could go, you know what? I know the guy. He might be a little sus, you know? But I don't think he's that sus. Maybe I'll ask him directly what he means. Because I probably misunderstood him or there's some nuance that I'm missing. I didn't see all the things that you're talking about, Justin, because I didn't spend the whole day on Twitter. So I can only deal with what I know. I've called you an idiot before. Oh, that was a while ago. We've made up. We've kissed and made up. Ooh, the tongues are going to be wagging now. Oh, boy. Burn the heretic. Now we're on to a much more pleasant subject. Can't we just unite in our hate of Nickelback? I mean, I thought that would be a unifying that shall henceforth be known as the Nickelback principle. So, in conclusion, we're not a bunch of McCarthyists. Okay. Oh, Justin's comments are coming from YouTube. Justin, you're not on Twitch helping me out, you bad boy who loves Nickelback. So all I'm asking in the future is maybe we stop the circular firing squad a little bit, not presume the worst of libertarians. I think it's a stretch to think that the Libertarian Party all of a sudden is advocating McCarthyite state action. Oh, you're banned from Twitch. Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to raise a sore point, because we're not. But yeah, I do think the communist threat, or let me even word this with a little more nuance, because I saw some people like going, what kind of communism? European communism or Peruvian communism? And to me, all I could hear was Monty Python going, what do you mean? A European or an African swallow? We all know what we mean by that. I hope, okay? Can we not drown in pedantry, please? Jesse, you dodged the bullet with Nickelback. So, everyone just settle down. We're not McCarthyists, and it's not an open mind to jump to that conclusion. So, I'm going to get going now. And my generally high opinion of reason remains the same. I read them every single day. I just think that was a crappy take. I wish she would walk it back, because I can tell you, can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I can tell you, her saying that, you know, I'm part of some authoritarian dog whistling group that wants to appeal to the far right is a defamatory lie. It's not true. So we shall leave once again with the words of, if I can find it, the great Michael Malice. Remember, she said, I'm trying to have an open mind, but, and we'll leave with Michael Malice.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians, or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business, not because